Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Boston Major. Group C action continues now. I'm LD. I'm joined here by Fogged. Fogged, Game 3. I thought if we had a Game 3, it would be in the other series. LGD versus Faceless. Complexity looked shell-shocked after Game 1. In Game 2, it started off real bad. They were down 12,000 gold at like 25 minutes. Sumail was free-farming as Invoker. Game was theirs for the tanking, but EG, one bad fight. Great performance from the Cancel OD. All of a sudden, Game 3 on our hands.
It was pretty ridiculous to see them actually come back. We're looking at the drafts, and both drafts, first 4 picks, first 4 bans, exactly identical. Third pick, identical as well. We're like, uh-oh, it looks like we're going to have another exact
Is this the salty run back?
But then this one change-up, Complexity picks up this OD, and Cancel had an incredible performance on this here, honestly. Like, all the other people on the team obviously had like good performances. I'm going to point out Mu as well in a second, but Cancel definitely, like, with his Astral Imprisonment saves, just his positioning in the fights, he was definitely like the one that stood out for me in there.
His individual play stood out, I think, more than anyone's. But I think credit where credit's due. Swindle's made some really good adjustments with the draft. Yes. The team shot calling, item selection, getting the early Glimmer Cape was huge. EG actually never got a gem for like almost 25 minutes against a Slark with a Shadow Blade and his own gem, constantly dewarding the map. Swindle's with the Glimmer Cape. In Game 1, we saw they struggled against Moonlight Shadow. 2 successful Moonlight Shadow escapes, so maybe they need to prioritize gem a little more, or at least some form of detection. But, I mean, the draft adjustments were nice. He also banned Alk, very importantly, so didn't get cocky. So I liked the adjustments they made a lot.
Yeah, it was smart. Like, it was pretty much right when Complexity was at like a pretty big deficit. We were concerned. We were like, uh-oh. It's like, this is like, if EG just kind of plays like as this unit, Complexity's actually going to have a lot of trouble. They pick up a gem, they put it on Mu. Mu finds these nice little rotations up in the back line, catches on Zai on the Wisp, and then Cancel just able to shine in the front with that OD. It was very good performance by them, though, just having that fortitude after that first very devastating game to that Alchemist of Sumail.
So the bans almost identical here, but the change-up is this time around, Slardar gets banned and Ogre gets through. So this will not be an IO first pick, which is what EG has favored every game this series, but instead they go for the Ogre.
Yeah, definitely a big change-up. I guess they feel like this might have been them just being a little bit too afraid of the Ogre, and just like maybe the Slardar just might have had a little bit too much pressure just putting on them. But yeah, it's just going to change up the whole entire way that this entire drafting just goes out. Ogre, obviously we've been seeing a ton of this hero, Walking Bloodlust. Maybe they're just feeling that the Wisp was a little bit too weak as well. He had a bit of a good impact, but I think maybe it forced them into some fights that they just didn't want to take. They were like kind of splitting up a bit, and they were trying to go for some relocate plays, and it wasn't going out that well into their favor after they had such a great advantage. Complexity just able to fight into the Wisp with that Undying very heavily. So definitely a bit of an adjustment. Definitely a huge change up in the draft because, we saw, like we said, the same exact things. It was Wisp into a Leshrac and a Slardar.
Everyone's like, rebroadcast?
Yeah. What's going on?
Is this a new game? I had that yesterday with the Wings Warriors gaming series as well, as they played each other 2 BO3s in a row. But no, guys, you are not hallucinating. This is a new game, and you can confirm it from the draft now. But so looking at Complexity, they've been going for the Leshrac Slardar duo. Obviously, they can't get the Slardar. Do they still want Leshrac? Does this Ogre pick make it less effective?
I guess we get our answer right there. They're going to go for this. It's a different approach that people are kind of going for, too. Like, we were seeing a lot of just this Undying into Ogre, and he just follows the Ogre around pretty much throughout all the times. Now we're seeing a little bit of a switch-up. Treant versus the Ogre is kind of in the same manner. You follow the Ogre, and you also have, like, global protection as well. You don't have to just straight-up follow the Ogre. You can throw Tree Armor as well and kind of pseudo be in the lane in that factor.
Yeah, and it does open up some cores that might have less laning presence that, struggle a bit early. Also helps you a lot against the rotations, and here we go with the OD.
OD
so
again.
It worked once. They will go for it again now. The Astrals were big, but it also felt like the other major issue for EG was they were very heavy on magic damage last game. With Bloodlust already, you've got a lot more physical damage just from the attack speed alone.
Yeah, and the nice thing is like the tree kind of like Ogre kind of, he puts you in a position where you're able to push towers, obviously, from Bloodlust in a way, and Tree's one of those that, obviously, with the Tree Armor, he's going to be able to deter that a bit. And also, Tree OD, this is, like, I think, like, throwback to a long time ago. I feel like we used to see these two heroes when OD was a completely different hero, a completely different factor. And it's just, like, it's a really cool combo because OD with such heavy, high armor, throwing the living armor on top, he just becomes this, like, commanding presence. EG does go for the Wisp again,
All
though,
right,
so.
This is a Superman carry now. You've got the Tether and the Bloodlust Overcharge. So what are your preferred, like, extremely strong carries to ban that pair well with these? Anything that jumps out at you?
They've been heavily favoring the Lifestealer, but since they didn't grab it in the first two, I think they're probably going to be getting away from it just because of how well OD handles him with the Astral and Prism, able to kite him around during the Rage.
Storm already feels a little, I mean, not the best against OD maybe in a vacuum, but already you've picked Tree, no real disable versus Storm. Overgrowth's certainly not going to help you. So maybe that's more of a consideration, but the Lifestealer gets banned, and with that, perhaps the Storm falls off the table.
Some that stand out, at least for EG, just because like how much they like the darks here too, is the Sven. The Sven always kind of stands out to me just because of, you know, it's you get that big wombo.
I thought
combo
Aoi 2000 had like a monopoly on that here. I didn't know anyone else was allowed to play it anymore in North America.
Yeah, the thing is that he doesn't really offer much versus I guess the Treant OD. OD obviously just straight magic damage. Treant has the Overgrowth, which is always going to be able to be a BKB piercing lockdown if the Sven gets that portion. So maybe they'll go for something a little bit different. Trying to think about what else they the big ones that they at least draft, because the Drow is getting rid of already. So we'll see what they actually want to do to pair off versus the OD. Probably something that can grab a BKB at a relatively early time and just fight into those two.
The man, the myth, the legend, Swindle. Well, now Maloons.
Swindle Maloons.
He's now just the Melons. But definitely a controversial figure in the community. But I think I really admire just his fortitude. He takes a lot of crap, and he just keeps on playing. Doesn't let it get to him. Clearly, the team has a lot of just ability to dig deep in tough moments. Being down 1-0 and 12k gold against EG, just steamrolling you and still come back.
I love that I see, like, you know, Melons gets hated on so hard, but it's not like this guy changes the way he is by any means. He's always just himself. So that's always the great thing. You never see, like, sometimes you see people that get so, like, heavily, like, criticized and everything that you see them try to, like,
curl up,
hide themselves. This guy, he's always just straight up himself. So it's good to see that. Complexity, like we mentioned, the Alchemist was a huge problem for them in the first game. Banning it out third, fourth is definitely the best option for them here. EG struggled a bit versus that Slark, as we mentioned. Not really emphasizing too much on having the craziest amount of lockdown, nor getting too much reveal. So not seeing them ban that one out, it's not too surprising because of how much Complexity seemed to favor that hero.
So call with the Tree OD. Already the team fight is definitely fearsome. What do they combo this with, I guess, is the question. Maybe looking for some reliable stuns. Already have the one support. Wondering what Moo's going to play. We've seen him on Slark twice, but that is banned now, so it will be something new on the side of Complexity. Any other Moo heroes that jump out at you from the carry position that he could take up?
His two big ones are brand out, right? At least from what we've seen. The Timbersaw was one that we saw when he was playing on DC. They picked it pretty much every single game for him. And then the Slark they've been picking a lot. Other than that, I mean, those are like his two big ones. So it's like it's pretty hard to really think about like what else does he really play. I was gonna actually say they have the setup for the OD already with the Mirana. They have the setup for the Mirana already with the OD, and Z-Freak is one of these players which still heavily emphasizes playing the support Mirana.
It was actually carry Mirana earlier in the series, but since they already have the OD, that probably goes to cancel, and so can expect the return of the Z-Freak Mirana. Made some spectacular plays for Complexity at a few of the big Valve events earlier, well, I guess last season, earlier this year, to get them deep. But a hero that was banned second stage both games will now slip through. It's not just any old Juggernaut. This is a Juggernaut, man. He's got Tether, Overcharge. You've also got the Healing Ward for the double heal with the Tether.
Yep.
This is quickly morphing into a very scary pushing lineup.
Yeah, it's definitely morphs into a pushing lineup, and like you mentioned, he gets like the acceleration from the Bloodlust and the Tether and everything, and the heal, but it's also extremely good versus Tree to burn off the armor early on with the spin, and then he's obviously one of these heroes that, yeah, he has like a built-in BKB kind of in a matter with the spin to be able to deal with the Arcane Orb and able to remove the Overgrowth and deal with, if he gets put under into like an arrow combo, it's not going to happen. And
that is a trap Complexity have to be careful not to fall into. They're basically all magic damage right now, or at least damage that can be blocked by magic immunity. So... still 2 picks to go. Still the Moo hero to grab as we come down the stretch here.
Yeah, the Moo hero is... I feel like they haven't really been emphasizing on leaving it last. They've been picking it up pretty early, but I think this game they probably want to leave it for the last one. Even though they already have the Juggernaut revealed, so he already knows what matchup he'll have, obviously in that carry matchup. They want to pick... Yeah, they want to pick Monkey's hero into that factor. So
this I like.
Spirit Breaker.
There are 0 ways to interrupt the charge really that are reliable right now. Fire Blast is very low range.
This was an approach that some teams used to use versus Wisp. You know, wherever the Wisp is, you kind of just follow him around with the Spirit Breaker, especially in the laning phase. You kind of just pressure him really heavily. It also gives you a BKB piercing disable. So if the Juggernaut does try to spin, you just like kind of hit him big. Please bash, please. So that's kind of a cool approach.
RNG was not really there for Zai last game, I would say. Or game 1, but
game 1.
Perhaps we'll be a bit luckier on the side of Complexity. Now,
It also gives them this like super heavy like frontliner in a way too, right? Like with this, now they have Treant and Spirit Breaker. Spirit Breaker just running the front gives OD kind of like the method to just do his power, stay in the back, throw out the Arcane Orb, gain the int as much as possible. He's able to astral the Spirit Breaker if he gets caught into a very bad position. They even have like this, maybe like something that's not really too relevant, but leap into the Empowering Haste. They have a lot of movement speed bonuses to be able to kite around the fights a bit.
Now, very importantly, of course, with the Spirit Breaker pick, you now have the free Shadow Blade, Moonlight Shadow into charge. I mean, not exactly, but you definitely have the ambush potential. What is the over?
So they do go for the Sven.
Good call on the Sven. What is the over-under on the first detection purchase here for EG? They've been a little slow, a little sleepy. Do you think the old man smacked them around after game 2?
More than likely, yeah.
I think gem.
Buy a gem. We called it a few times in the second series. We're like, okay, you know, the supports are pretty poor. We're expecting to buy a gem up here, and then they ended up like finishing some Glimmer Capes. They bought a lot of sentries, but there was a Slark with a gem running around, just like, ooh, a sentry. Ooh, another sentry. Ooh, look, another sentry. So definitely probably going to see them emphasize a bit more on getting that reveal early. And banning the Darkseer, it makes sense, you know, that Wombo combo from the Sven and everything, but this reveals a lot from EG. You know, this is a more than likely, obviously, a mid-Juggernaut, and it's a safe lane Sven. So now it's the Universe Heroes last.
I was actually thinking Complexity might consider the Darkseer, but they do have a last pick, so they might not be able to get it even if they wanted to. It's kind of the same story, though, as far as the overall series, where EG consistently going for the lineups that on paper flash farm better, maybe don't have like necessarily the harder late game with equal items, but will get those items much quicker, whether it was the Alclast game or the Sumail Invoker going for an early Quas Exort Midas build. They have Sven who can clear stacks. They've got a lot of attack speed buffs. Do Complexity play the same way? Do they try to win fights to take it late? Do you see them try to match EG in the farm department?
I'm kind of curious because they already have like this OD huge factor. They have Mirana who can kind of scale in a way to the later stage, even though he's a support. I'm almost wondering if they go back for something that Mu used to play a lot, like the like Beastmaster or something like this. Even though it's not a carry, obviously, it's just something that can kite around the Sven, give a lot of different potential, and it's not something that needs too much farm. It's just like this hero that benefits a lot from the other heroes and gives them a lot of different potential. I like that because they also do not take towers, and they don't have the Swindle's Lesh this time. Yeah. So they need something to take objectives, I would say. OD, Mirana pretty bad at that. They did used to pick Leshrac as core as well, and they used to throw it on Mu, so maybe they're leaving that for last thing. I know like everybody's probably like, Leshrac, what the hell are these guys talking about? But it's Complexity. You know, these guys love their Leshrac, so it's something that's not too out of the box.
Disco Pony was not deleted from the game, just from popularity. But I mean, it could be a core Spirit Breaker for that matter, potentially with these picks.
Ooh, Brewmaster, interesting.
So not an easy hero to burst down. They don't have any silences.
Weaver.
The reply from Complexity rounded out, of course, the Weaver.
Not much straight up lockdown for him. He's able to just kind of like weave in and out of the fights. And he's like, Complexity was kind of very emphasized on multiple magic damage instances right now. So they did need one guy who actually could do something kind of physical. And he can actually kind of hit buildings and give them better Roche potential with the Beetles.
And it's a Universe Brew of all things. So we're not even going to see the Brew mid. It is going to be the mid-jug, as you suggested. So overall draft, some curveballs here from both teams. The early Treant Open, certainly not a common go-to for Complexity. The Weaver finish. It is going to be a core Spirit Breaker for Monkeys, and Z-Freak will indeed be playing support Mirana. Who do you favor overall, Giannis?
It's actually pretty interesting.
No pressure. Because you said EG before the series. But
I did say EG before the series.
I did as well, but I said 2-0.
It's a double.
I was wrong. Sorry, Swindles.
It's double bloodlusted Juggernaut Sven. Brewmaster as well benefits a lot from it, and they have Warcry to kind of neglect a lot of the damage that comes up from the Weaver. I think it's close, but I'm liking EGs right now too.
All right, let's find out if that indeed is the case. Game 3 set to begin now. Complexity taking on EG. Winner moves along into the Group C finals. The loser, not out of it yet, but they'll drop down and have a longer road if they hope to have the easier opponents going into the single elimination bracket. And with that, we enter the fields of Dota.
This is a pretty cool approach, too. Like, the Panda gives him a lot of different options, obviously, with the Dispel. I think that's one of the bigger ones, being able to Dispel the roots on like his teammates and stuff like that, and being able to
Can you Dispel the living armor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Cool.
The only one I'm pretty sure you can as well is I think you can Dispel Mirana ulti as well. I'm like 90% sure, but someone will definitely correct me soon, so that's fine.
You can't Dispel Astral, right?
No.
That would be amazing.
That would look so weird, too, right?
Come back here
Bottom
from
lane,
another
though,
realm.
right away. They're making an aggressive move. They've got Beetles leveled up. They've got the charge in Arteezy, but that should be it. They shouldn't really be able to catch after that without an arrow follow-up.
Did have to commit an early Stormhammer, but it's early enough he can probably even walk back to the base if he needs to get that mana back.
Yeah, they can just tether him and walk back for sure.
And that's what he'll do. So they do secure the bottom rune with this. Maybe even go for the double rune grab. Complexity did get both in game number 2. Less important with the Alk not being in the picture, but still would be a nice little boon for them. EG's level 1. It's 3 melee heroes. I don't really see them being able to do anything to this Weaver if he wants to run in.
Arteezy already with 1 last hit from killing the Beetle, too. So that's a little bit of a gold advantage for going for him.
Oh, yeah. Game-changing play.
Game-changing play. But no, both teams put down a lane ward in the mid lane, and EG actually believes that they put one on the offensive side on the hill, so Zai puts down a Sentient. Wow, they're actually super emphasizing on this mid lane, putting 2 obs in the river, 1 obs in the river and 1 on the mid lane to kind of just watch this.
The anti-Spirit Breaker, anti-Marana.
Yep.
You've got 2 heroes that can descend on mid, and what better hero to deal with that aggression probably than a Juggernaut? Arrow, if he's patient, should be a good way to deal with the aggression. Though level 1, he's already gone for Blade Dance, but they're not sending the Marana there just yet.
Yep, he's just looking for a creep to Arrow, but Crit is there in his face. Not going to let him do that just yet. Bottom lane Monkeys should be able to get a decent amount of experience too, just versus this dual lane. He's able to just kind of stand in the front because Sven, Wisp, there's no real way that they can just straight up zone a Spirit Breaker. He's able to do quite well there. So it's just going to be depending on how the mid lane matchup kind of goes off for the most part and how this top lane matchup goes with the Treant kind of just punching this Panda.
You know, battle of the Bruisers up top with now Ogre joining that Brewmaster. You still have the tree there to give him an angry fist or 2.
Yep. EG doing it. This is a really good situation that happened for EG here, though. They pushed up the bottom lane in the bottom, and they pulled aside. So Spirit Breaker, even though he was going to get a huge creep wave advantage coming into him, he does get that pull to block him out. Oh, that Satyr Blast actually hurting Monkeys a lot, getting stunned up.
Well, it's a tri-lane now. Apparently the creeps bleed blue. Z-Freak did arrow one of the big camps mid. Now he's moving over towards bottom. He could potentially set something up here. Arteezy's low. Zai fairly low. They're pretty much out of mana, though. Zai could clarity up, and he's going to start that. Z-Freak moving in. Does get hit by the Satyr again. Man, this thing really hates Complexity, does it not? They move in, looking for a bash follow-up. He'll get it, too. Creep still blocking the path. Z-Freak patiently waiting. Not going to go in the end, but he will pressure the lane. He will then kill that pesky Satyr. I think it's running out of mana at this point. But will get himself some gold, some experience, and this is a good way to pressure the Sven as well. Limit his stacks.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely very good for them to move that too. And now Spirit Breaker even pulls the side camp, so denying some farm from Arteezy there, but he's going to walk over and just kind of hit it a bit. But yeah, Z-Freak just kind of be running around the map all over the place. Now he's going to move toward the mid lane. Sumail pretty much can't really use Blade Fury in an aggressive position to put the lane out just because of the potential of them being able to turn on him. Top lane, Crit, under some pressure.
Making a dive, but this is a tanky lane, and you already see the point in Drunken Haze to deal with Moo's auto-attack harass a little bit. This is a nice way to deal with Geminate. A big wave. That's a lot of experience coming in for Universe.
Yeah, Crit does the smart thing, too. He leaves the lane just to give Universe as much as possible because it's a Panda. Panda needs a pretty decent start in this type of event just because of the nature of the hero. You need to get your levels. You need to get your 6 as early as possible. Getting a lot of pressure, though, by Moo. Just getting right-clicked heavily. Moo does have a Shikuchi and some bugs, but he doesn't have the Geminate attack to get those double attacks on him.
Yeah, I don't know how useful it is against all this evasion. It's certainly not over the Sakuchi.
Yeah, I think this is probably the better approach by Crit. Just follow Z-Freak around, make sure he's not able to do these clean rotations, just mess with him a bit.
They're leeching a lot of experience. It's going to be 3 heroes emerging into this lane rather quickly, but Zai getting forced back. Bullied by the auto attacks of Z-Freak, who went for the early boots. He does leap out. Really good timing there. Now going to follow up with the arrow. Nails Arteezy, but Ogre arrives, and all of a sudden it's Monkeys who wants to run. He's pretty tanky, but the blocks are there from Crit. Monkeys in danger. Into the trees he goes. He'll have a charge fairly soon, but the move speed a little bit more. No, it's the living armor to save the day. He charges out past the wave to the rage creep, up and out of there.
They've got a stun.
They still have the stun, and with that, one more auto attack. The arrow just a bit too late. Almost made it out. A big commitment, but they do get the first blood on the Spirit Breaker.
Yep, definitely a little bit over-aggressive there, but with the tree armor, I guess they thought they might be able to make something happen with it. But yeah, nice rotation there from Crit, following Z-Freak around as he should be.
Good thing is for Sumail, whenever he sees that action, he can immediately Blade Fury mid.
Yep.
So he gets some extra farm. He's right there with Cancel on the OD, doing much better in CS this game.
Yeah, for sure. The one good thing for EG2 is that, or another good thing for EG is that they're obviously able to constantly Drunken Haze up on Moo, so it does mess with his last hitting a bit. So he is under the pressure a little bit on that. He is falling up slightly behind the Sven with already 27 on Arteezy. He's doing very well.
Cancel getting chafed here, as his rune will be denied. Charge back to that bottom lane, but Arteezy relatively unmolested here, is getting a lot more farm now after that initial engagement. Let's see Crit deny himself just for the free fountain trip, but the stack gets cleared up. And Sven free farming. Juggernaut doing well mid. Brew getting a lot out of the off lane. So far, haven't seen the big impact from the roaming Mirana. The living armor didn't save Complexity from giving up a first blood. And overall, Yannis, EG just so far winning these lanes.
Yep. Weaver is gonna they don't really have the greatest amount of lockdown for the Weaver into the later stages though, so he should be able to do pretty well. But that's the big thing where it comes down to having that reveal, having the sentry wards, having dust especially to be able to take him down in those situations where he is in the fights.
Yeah, so I was wondering about the build for University. He's going to grab the Iron Talon. And it looks like we'll still be maxing out the clap. Just went for the early value points in Drunken Haze and the evasion, but has that plan B to go to the jungle? He's getting a lot out of the offlane. Already 5.
Level 5, 17 CS. Crit's movement there in the beginning was great, and then now just following around Z-Freak is working out very well for them. But this looks like it's going to be a much slower game than the last. Last time it was 10 minutes in, 20 kills. This one, we're going to have a much slower dictated game. Game 3.
And surely slower favors EG with the ability of Sven, the farm, the supports giving so many buffs, and I think more importantly, just playstyle-wise, you look at where EG's done best, it's when they just get to farm for 20, 30 minutes, get a huge gold advantage before they fight. I
mean, once they have their obviously the standard Sven items, the Dominator, the Deco Saber, the Blink, the BKB, that's where it becomes super devastating for Cole to fight because they're very emphasized on magic damage with the OD. Weaver doesn't really dish out the most bottom
Cancel
lane.
Coming in from behind. No one expects the OD, but Arteezy there to tank the arrow. Unfortunately, maybe he ends up going down instead, gets off the stun. Zai will most likely end up falling 1 extra orb, gets the kill. Arteezy tried to take a bullet, but the President can't take bullets for the Secret Service. That's not how that works. So he survives, and he will walk away.
Give Sumail some more space to pull ahead of the OD in the lane, so Cancel making that movement. Does not him a kill, but definitely slows down his farm rate compared to Sumail.
Z-Freak continues his movement betwixt the lanes. Maybe going to look for an arrow here. There was a Blade Fury commitment. Zai now going to be scouted out momentarily mid. Swindle's also there. The Omni Slash comes through, but the Living Armor, combined with the fact that Sumail, the last bounce, doesn't go to the OD, will be enough to save him, just barely. And now they can sweep in from behind. Charge coming in hot and heavy. Monkey's bashing Sumail back into tower range. He's going to take 2 extra auto attacks. Doesn't get the follow-up bash, which would have been needed for the kill.
So close to 6 on Monkeys, too. If he was 6 there, that would have been a free kill, 100%. But, yep.
Just barely
Very
not
close.
going their way. And all the while, Arteezy just free farming.
Yep.
So you've got Jug, Sven atop the net worth. They have started stacking Ancients. He is going max cleave, already has it. Dominator likely coming next. And we are going to see Bloodlust being leveled up. 2 points in that. Not even bothering with the Fire Blast this game so far.
Yeah, lane's definitely going good favor and good margin into EG. Now Crit even stacking again already, so even pre-Dominator they're emphasizing heavily on having the Ancient stacked up for Arteezy. So he's already level 7, he's going to have the Dominator finished up too, but he'll already have a triple Ancient stack for himself. And Zai will be keen on stacking up some more neutrals while Arteezy kind of tries to do the same thing with the small camp.
How urgent is it for Complexity to fight? Are there certain things they should be waiting for before they get aggressive here in Fogged, or do you feel like they need to just start going right away and contest this?
I think it's really hard for them to fight is the problem. I think the only way that they really want to get fights is if the Spirit Breaker is able to kind of isolate people with the charge into an ultimate. Because if they try to take a 5v5 engagement or something like that versus EG, they have Panda Split already. Super hard for them really to be able to pressure towers as well with only a Weaver able to really be in the front line to be able to hit anything. The Spirit Breaker is a frontline hero, but if he's showing on the map, there's no gank potential.
Sumail getting very aggressive here, just spinning right in. He has the healing ward, the tether from Zai. Confident that he can take this fight, but Monkeys is going to TP and look for the charge. The Nether Strike as well. All of this commitment onto Sumail, but he survives through it all. Arteezy's going to come in, look to turn this thing around, has the God Strength ready, goes to work. Monkeys forever. Again, they're able to use the Moonlight Shadow to get out of here. EG, just no detection for the time being. He charges forward once more onto Sumail with the Swarm even there, affecting him, but it won't matter. They lose their OD. The arrow comes in from Z-Freak. Leap, Starfall, barely doing any damage. It's not enough. The evasion. Finally, they get the kill on Universe, but at what cost as the turnaround comes from that big old sword and transitions immediately into the Ancients. But now, God's Strength is worn off, so I guess indirectly they slow down Arteezy's farm, but a bloody mess there. 2 for 2, did not get off the Brew Split.
Yeah, they didn't even need it. There was a nice collapse there by Arteezy for sure, running to the mid lane. I think he just wanted to make the move to be able to farm his Ancients too, but it was just oh, they're fighting mid.
Great, I'll farm heroes and then I'll farm Ancients.
Yep.
How
so
efficient.
First Spirit Breaker ulti used does not really net them a big kill. It does get the Wisp, and it does end up bringing down Universe later on, but that wasn't too thankful, just like kind of forcing the engagement there. Because Mu wasn't actually able to really get too involved in there because he's just kind of chilling in the top lane.
So 3-3 the score, 10 minutes, but EG with a pretty substantial lead. 2,000 gold, nearly 1,000 experience, and given the hero compositions, you know if it remains just a farm battle, EG are just going to pull ahead by nature of cleave, all the attack speed buffs they have, their emphasis on stacking, the early dominator. So Complexity obviously going to recognize this. We'll see Cancel going into an early drums build this game. I imagine the Weaver not going to go for any big late game items, and most likely we will see them trying to take these early fights. But as you said, into Brew Split, that is a tall order.
Yeah. It's very hard for the Weaver to really get involved into this too, especially if anyone's carrying Reveal on the side of EG. And they are this time now. So they have the Dust up on the Ogre. And now Cancel. Sumail's trying to bait an Astral. He does, and this could be the go time for EG. They have
look at that recognition by Cancel. Yeah. Up and away to the top ramp.
Instant reaction.
Beautifully played.
Yep. Swindle now getting his timing there. He sees like the movement there by EG. Goes up and puts two very aggressive wards on the side of the Ancients, just able to watch whenever Arteezy's walking to the Ancients, whenever he's making any move toward there, even blocking the Ancients too with the Sentry on top. But EG, they see the opportunity to just push the towers down with their massive 5-man with Bloodlust, Tether, and Healing Ward whenever they want to use it.
Uh-oh.
Z-Freak.
Z-Freak, a rare whiff there on the pounce. He is going to try to go invis. They spin onto him, removing the living armor. He will be banished. Dust committed through this, but I believe Mirana might have a chance. No, never mind that. It's going to get the Starfall off. We'll go down. EG now being pursued. The bugs come through. Will there be follow-up? Mu committing on Desire. Really wants to bring him down. Good overgrowth, but where's the combo? They need the OD to come in and drop the hammer. He doesn't have much stolen in. Very ineffective fight. And now the Brew Split looking for another. They'll dispel that tornado. Stun follow from Arteezy. Likely another kill. T2 will drop, and EG just plunging forward down the mid lane. This is the downside to the support picks here for Complexity, is they just don't have much team fight damage, Giannis, especially if Mirana dies like that.
Yeah, they really need to, like, the only way they really get like a full team fight is just like getting a massive overgrowth when Cancel already has like a good amount of int stolen with the Arcane Orb, but it's very hard for them to fight into EG's lineup. They need to just kind of like split up the map and find pickoffs with the Spirit Breaker until they find like a couple items, but like you mentioned, they don't really have any heroes that can flash farm like EG does, so it puts them under the gun quite a bit.
Mu even grabbing the Ogre Club here early on the Weaver.
They're going for that Dragon Lance nice and early, but
yeah, a very combat-focused builds for all the call heroes. No Midas on the OD. I mean, Mirana's a support. We're not going to see an early eggs.
The move that we see so often now. Mu goes to the bottom lane, and Arteezy's like, oh, you're in my safe lane, I go to yours. You know, we keep emphasizing, we see it so often now, and it's just a thing that keeps happening.
Yeah, Cancel shoves in the mid lane. He's going to jaunt on towards bottom. They did get some good wards down for Complexity. In theory, you'd think this could enable some charge ganks, but the issue is you charge and you go for that gank. You're doing it into an IO relocate unless you gank the IO itself. So
I think these wards dictate a lot, though, from how Complexity's feeling. They just feel very pressured to kind of just keep an eye on what EG's doing all the time. EG now finally makes the move up and puts an offensive ward in the enemy jungle just to be able to claim the tower top and put some more needed pressure. Because they just can. They can fight pretty easily at this point. Panda Split's going to be coming up in the next 30 seconds. They've got Sven Ultimate. They've got Omni Slash. They've got everything they really need. But Complexity looks like they want to fight this. The charge is coming in onto Zai.
Yeah, charge is coming. They could go for the TP Overgrowth Living Armor on the tower to keep it alive. Monkey's not in the trees, but they saw it and they ping him out. Arteezy with the Hill Ward had some vision of it coming. Sumail's going to surge his way forward. They look to engage here. Complexity getting hesitant, and while they hesitate, EG seizing the moment, but there's the Overgrowth. Will there be follow-up? Swindle's focus brought down first. The charge comes through. It's a 4-hero pile-up with the Swarm, but do they have the damage? The Warcry making everyone very tanky. Even an arrow under Arteezy. Can they focus him down? Zai is there trying to save him. The relocate a bit too late. They will lose their Sven. They're likely to lose Crit as well. This is the kind of fight that Complexity wanted. This is the kind of fight they needed. Universe now being charged. Goes for the clap. Doesn't have mana for the split. The arrow's going to connect. Z-Freak slams it home. Make it 3. It could be 4 as Zai rejoins the fight. Complexity, a huge win for them already, and make it the 4-hero pile-up indeed. They'll find all the kills. It was so close to going differently. Almost got the relocate save, almost got the Brew Split off, but none of it happened.
Yeah, they weren't able to get this Panda Split off. They weren't able to really get anything up from Arteezy. Beautiful arrows coming in from Z-Freak, just pretty much winning the fight for them single-handedly because of that. Monkeys as well, acting as that frontliner, charging through, getting 4 heroes into the bash after into the charge after the overgrowth. So very nice teamwork coming out for Complexity. But EG, they still have that Panda split. They still have this Falcon ultimate. They want to fight.
They move on to Z-Freak first and foremost, but he manages to leap away. The banish, though, almost helping as EG will get to reset around him. They begin to engage. Monkeys, though, with a good charge through. The living armor making the difference, keeps him alive. Arteezy, well, already the Brewmaster down, and he's not able to hit anyone, even though he's empowered with the God Strength. They can reset here after the banish. Z-Freak, arrow cooling down. Sumail will Blade Fury, but that could allow for a big one. Will he find the angle? They're going to banish, charge. Not the perfect teamwork, but if the arrow connects, likely a kill. There is no relocate save. Sumail being focused down. Moo will get the kill. Now they're bashing Arteezy back with the Nether Strike, and the orbs coming in. Complexity is heating up on Design next, mauling the Ball of Light. They'll kill him off 2. First it was 4, and this time it's going to be 5. An Ultra for Moo. Complexity steamrolling forward from the depths of despair, down 0-1 and 12k gold into game 2. All of a sudden, they've got EG on the ropes.
These like arrows and these charges into arrows is just crushing EG. They're not able to get their ultimates off in the fight. Like this is Z-Freak's actually like having like such a big impact with just like these arrows.
Are you surprised to see EG trying so hard to take fights, given that they could, in theory, step back to farming? Just look to take it late, dodge
I think
fights?
with their first emphasis that they wanted to push this top tower, because they're playing versus a Treant Protector, they're like, okay, if we're going to try to if we're going to put pressure on towers, we need to take it in one shot. They missed it the first opportunity, and they're like, it seemed like they almost felt obligated to go for it again. We're going to take a look at the replay and see what happened. The charge obviously gets canceled because of the Astral, but Astral into Arrow gets crushed. Arteezy tries to go in, but he doesn't have God Strength. Instant ultimate by Monkeys Forever, brings him down. Zai, easy chase up. I am actually loving this drum pickup by Cancel, enabling his team to have even more movement speed on top of the...
Oh, bash, bash? No bash. Oh, man.
The drum with the empowering haste with the leap as well, they have actually so much like increased movement speed, increased attack speed as well. It's giving them a lot in these team fights on top of EG, who aren't really able to get their ultimates or anything off in a proper manner. Universe really struggling to find his farm to get this Blink Dagger so he can get the proper initiations.
Yeah, what are you looking at in total? It's like almost like 30 move speed per hero when they activate the drum charge. It's a lot. So you can't really disengage very easily against Complexity, especially if relocate's on cooldown.
Yeah, this is where EG definitely feels like a little bit of pressure. Like they want to go back a bit and farm. Arteezy under the vision of a ward though. He even used God Strength to farm up the neutrals.
If Complexity could just take this tower down mid with the aggressive wards they have, they can start to threaten the Ancient stacks. The pains are actually coming out already from Z-Freak. And by the way, Z-Freak, after that fight, Aghanim's is coming.
Yeah.
So where Complexity were lacking damage, not going to be a problem for long. Could see a move on to Sumail here. Relocate still cooling down. 15 seconds on that. He's got to be careful. Blade Fury won't save you against Spirit Breaker.
He's going in.
Coming in hot, Sumail. In a lot of trouble now. Doesn't even get off the spin. Getting focused down by the OD. Nether Strike. Easy kill. Complexity continue to roll.
EG is not able to find the fights on their factor. They're just not able to really get the Brewmaster ulti up. They're getting split up too heavily by Complexity. They're trying now. Now they're going back to their like reserve motion. They're like, okay, triple stack Ancients. We need Arteezy just to be able to farm, push out the lanes as much as possible. We need to slow the pace of the game down just a little bit, just because of how great Complexity's team fighting has been so far.
There's still no blink on the Brew, mind you. Universe was at like 1,500 gold before that first fight, and then they lost 2 fights in a row, and even now, like 4 or 5 minutes later, still does not have the blink. Had a good start in the offlane, was getting quite a bit of farm with an Iron Talon, but they have shut him down successfully since then. And where EG's chip damage amounts to nothing against the tree, Complexity's guaranteed damage on towers that can't be mitigated or reversed.
Unhealable damage.
Oh yeah, the best kind.
Yeah. They do have very aggressive wards. Complexity in position to fight here, but EG does have all 5 heroes. It's really all up to how if the Brew is able to get these good splits, but yeah, Complexity has the vision of them. They see Sumail farming.
You can just see Monkeys. You can see that look of bloodlust in his eyes. Cow wants to go in.
Oh, I lost vision for a second.
Oh, poor Cow. This will buy time, though. Arteezy, sorry, going to get the blink. And with the blink, there is a little more just like insta-kill potential here to blow someone up immediately before they get living armored, walk away with Moonlight Shadow. Speaking of which, they do have Dust and Sentries on 2 heroes, so definitely respecting the Moonlight Shadow a bit more now.
Yep. More aggressive wards coming out for Complexity, and I thought Monkeys was actually going to go for a BKB, but he's feeling very confident. The way that they're winning these fights so handily, he's going to be going for that Echo Saber. So he's going to be a very scaling Spirit Breaker on top of a very scaling support Mirana, who's gone support Mirana, I say, but he's got an Aghanims in about 400 gold.
Yeah, and he can transition into a carry role at that point. That's where Z-Freak can start flash farming, keep the lanes shoved out, and against 4 melee heroes and an IO, that Starstorm is pretty much guaranteed to hit at least 2-3 targets. As an unfortunate charge from Monkeys, Swindles will have to overgrowth and disengage.
Sick play by Swindles there, though. It seemed like he kind of knew that the smoke was coming out for EG. He Nature's Guises, walks over, breaks the smoke. EG panic, throws down 2 sentries, kind of expecting him there. Don't find him. He even puts a sentry now on the high ground, and EG puts a Obs ward right on top of it, so it's going to get instantly dewarded.
Oh, they're coming in. They're streaming in to look for a fight here. Moo, Sakuchi forward, trying to engage. Out in front is Swindles. He's going to get caught by Ortiz. He has the living armor going, though. There's the Spirit Breaker charge. Connects on 3. Now backing away. Crit down in the pit, trying to give someone at least a Bloodlust. Pops the dust off. I don't even think it clipped Moo. Actually, it did, but no one there to follow that dust up. And now Crit down in the river with OD starting to move in. The window is about to close with Z-Freak getting this Aghanim Scepter. They're going to be in a lot of trouble. God, it would be great to kill him now. He is going to leap away. He has a TP, but they get onto him. 15 gold short. The Astral might buy him the time to get the Aghanim Scepter. It's going to be close, Z-Freak. 5 gold. He doesn't even bother to buy the components. The living armor? No, not enough. He will end up going down. The hammer gets dropped, though, and now Cancel looks for the fight, focusing on Zai. The Blade Fury's there as well. They commit the split. They brought down 2. Buyback on the Mirana. He only has 1 component and 900 gold to go now. And Moo, Jade Stud, focused down during God's Strength. A chaotic fight from Complexity. Starstorm will kill off Zai, but that's it. After the buyback in Z-Freak, it could be a dieback with the clap coming in. They're going to commit a lot to kill off this Mirana where he basically had an Ags. We're now looking at him being set back a full 3 to 4 minutes with that death. Oh, yeah, double death.
Look at the emphasis on sentries. You know, last game we were mentioning, they didn't really have too much reveal to fight into Complexity's lineup. This time, they're ready. They know the mistakes they made the last time. 3 sentries placed down near this ancient camp, even with an Obs ward on top. Very good fight. Like, finally, you see what happens when they actually are able to get the fight on their terms. They're able to get the Panda split off. It completely changes the way the fight's dictated. OD gets a beautiful ultimate on top of everybody, but it wasn't enough on top of the healing ward, on top of the Wisp tethered to somebody.
Yeah, and the positioning of that fight with just the giant clump of heroes up in a tight choke point meant they couldn't really get to the healing ward to snipe it. Not to mention with the Bruce split, it's kind of hard to see it.
It was kind of just a mess. That was like... It really was just a mess of a fight. Moo couldn't really do anything either. He walks in and just gets bursted down instantly. Gonna be a bit harder for them to kill him once he does finish up this Linken's, but he's 1,400 gold away from that, so won't see that for another 4 minutes or so.
All right, well, back to farming. Arteezy wailing away at Ancients here. They still do have their tier 1 top. That's the good news. And Z-Freak's like, yeah, I'm just going to be AFK farming here for a while now, guys. I've got some catching up to do. Man,
yeah.
That dieback, really costly mistake for Complexity.
Yeah, that fight really hurts them there.
I mean, it's one thing that he dies there, but then buying back and dying again is just devastating.
EG looking to claim some more map control, going for this top tier 1. Trying to get more access points into the enemy jungle as well to be able to have more places to farm. Because their jungle is not really the safest place, so they want to be able to they want access to be able to farm in Complexity's jungle for sure, just to boost themselves a bit.
So we're going to see the Hurricane Pike for OD. Echo Saber now completed on Monkeys. The Weaver build, still Linken's for Moo, which, by the way, also got delayed. They're going to move into the Roshan pit, but there's a creep here for Arteezy, so it's immediately scouted out. They're going to kill that pesky Mud Golem off. I don't think they can really Roshan time. The split's up.
They're going for it. They've got the Beetles.
An EG smoke. They're going to Warcry instantly. It should cool down by the time they get to the pit. And they sprint on with Bloodlust.
Doesn't look like they're going to make it, though. It's dying really fast with Arcane Orbs with the minus armor coming from the Swarm.
OD's still a pretty damn good hero.
Yep.
And Z-Freak in position. He's got the Ags now. Could set this one up with an arrow. Roshan complete. EG still storming in. They've got the high ground advantage. Moonlight Shadow committed. Blink into the pit. Arteezy off the mark with that one. Do they look for the turnaround now? Blade Fury early by Sumail. He's getting hesitant. Charge gets canceled. Everybody getting cold feet in this fight as the stun goes out onto Cancel. But remember, he's the Aegis bearer. Arrow committed. It hits crit. Is that the best target? Not really sure about that. Monkeys forever is being focused down. Sumail will kill him off with Bloodlust auto text. Now the Overgrowth. Swindle's trying to negate the Brewmaster split as much as possible. Z-Freak could be the secret damage dealer. Cancel will have a second life to work with, but they're hounding this Mirana out of the pit. She leaps up and away. This isolates in turn Cancel as they continue pursuit. Sumail's starting to work on him. They commit a Dust. Now that's just the Aegis. Now they got to kill him off again, but they're down 2. Make it 3 as he comes back. They'll try to re-engage. All the cores are alive though, and Moo on the chase. Z-Freak, leap cooling down. They can chase this. Hammer gets dropped. Look for a bit more. Warcry and a scramble back as Arteezy gets scouted out by the pesky little bug. They isolate him. They're going to follow this up with an arrow. They'll kill him off 2. Arteezy dead as well. That's 3. They did pop the Aegis. They get 2 supports, but they hemorrhage quite a few kills in their own right.
Yeah, the nice thing there for Complexity is definitely like having the Aegis there. Moo now finishing up the Lincoln's going to give him a lot more potential there, but whenever it seems like they get monkeys in a bad position, it's like when it looks like the fight's going to be going in EG's factor. The reason Complexity wins is obviously because of the Aegis, but yeah, like EG's just like with Panda split off, it makes it their fight look obviously so much better. And now the next stage is going to be Arteezy getting his BKB so he doesn't get kited in such hard manner.
Yeah, the Treant is a big part of why the Spirit Breaker is such a pain as well. It gets the living armor, the Overgrowth disrupts the Brewmaster split quite a bit. And even those few seconds to reset, not to mention the Astral time-lapse. Complexity have a lot of tools to drag out fights, whereas EG, they have that one big bang, right? They have the God Strength, the Blink and Echo Saber, double attack, Omni Slash, 1 Brew split, maybe 1 relocate save. They're more about like that one explosive start to the fight, but yeah, Complexity is seeming like they're just able to outlast EG.
It was definitely a really good, very good overgrowth place by Swindles, grabbing all the Pandas. Universe was a bit late to purge it off, but he wasn't even able to really throw anyone relevant up in the air in the middle of the team for like throwing up the OD and then taking out everybody else or anything.
And that's all right. Even if you do purge it off, like just a few seconds wasted, that's huge in these fights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Considering especially the cooldowns, Overgrowth only 70 seconds, Brewmaster split a whopping 120 now. It'll get down to 100, but it's still a pretty long cooldown in comparison.
Yep.
Well, back in 4th game, it's looking more and more like a true quad core here on Complexity with the items they've gone for. But EG with the higher top farmers, who are you favoring, Fogged, as we go later?
It's really dependent on how the initiation comes. It's a very close game. It's a very clean, very close draft as well. Like Z-Freak is pretty much like the secret Zen factor for Complexity kind of in this way because of how farmed he really is. Aghanim's already getting toward that Blink level 14 on this support Mirana. So he's going to be able to dish out a lot of damage in the backlines, take out the supports for sure if he's able to find that positioning with this Blink.
Oh, Arteezy, he does have the BKB, but the
Cancel with the
sneaky
wraparound
move by Cancel. Invis coming in from behind. Has to be careful about sentries because they do have the Mirana, so EG might have planted some down. There is one, but it's kind of close to the tower.
Oh, they see
Cancel now. Getting revealed, he's going to self-banish. The team has to scramble to back him up. They will have an Overgrowth. They can try. He Hurricane Pikes himself backwards towards safety, but doesn't quite get over the tree line where an Omni Slash isolates him together with the multicast. He's down very early in the fight. BKB by Arteezy, the Overgrowth there. Arrow pierces the heart of Zai, will bring him down. And now EG starting to work with Arteezy there, but he's getting kited a bit. The Starstorm's coming in hotter and heavier as Arteezy has to turn tail and run. Crit also for dear life trying to limp away. Tree even hitting that Ogre. Not very effective at this stage with the armor he has, but they do successfully hang on and force the buyback. So it's a 1-for-1 carry trade. The Mirana also dying kind of makes it a 2-for-1, but with the buyback, EG, they do win the fight. But with that said, we're going to see a long period where no Panda split, no Omni Slash available.
Yeah, Cancel had a great positioning to get the wraparound there from them, but breaking his invis, they instantly reacted. They get everything off on him. Omni Slash completely isolates him, brings him down right away in the fight. Pretty much every single time EG is able to get all their ultimates off, it goes slightly into their, it goes just a bit into their favor, unless of course Complexity has that Aegis online. But now with that buyback, they're able to get some pressure on this tier 2. So slight little swing of momentum into Complexity's favor. And Moo is getting some much-needed farm. He's surviving throughout all these engagements, so now he's got the Linkens, he's got Dragonlance, another 2,100 gold on him.
And Weaver really is a problem if you can't burst him. They don't have a reliable silence. There's no hugely long-duration stuns. And the later the game goes, the less and less likely it is that they're going to be able to chain stun him, especially with all the saves that Complexity have.
Yeah, it's pretty much going to be like, can they survive in just like with the healing ward, with when Panda gets like his aura items, when he gets the Vlads, if he ever gets to that point of like an AC, which will probably be very, very long down the lines. We probably won't see that one, but are they able to survive throughout the time, be able to dish out enough damage and then leave this Weaver isolated? I think it's really important of them to be able to bring down Cancel and to bring down the Spirit Breakers early on in these fights.
All right, 29 minutes in. Complexity hanging on to a lead here. About 4K gold, around 8K experience. They trailed early this series, but they have battled back. Tooth, claw, and nail, and now find themselves not in firm control, but with a decent grasp on the game.
Ooh, I like this pickup by Mu. Goes for his own defusal. This is something we saw, I don't know if it was Wings or, I think it might have been Wings on like a Drow Ranger, I believe, or maybe Resolution on from DC. He picks up the defusal to be able to purge off the Warcry from the Sven and be able to kite him out much easier. So it's actually a really cool item. Like, it doesn't really give him the most damage potential just based off that one item, but being able to do that and being able to kite in that better manner is very important.
Also removes the Bloodlust, right?
Yes, and the Bloodlust.
Yeah. So with that, even though Sven will still have God Strength, you can't really kite him. You can also purge the Drunken Haze off yourself. So quite a nice utility item.
Yeah. Ghost Scepters later on if it ever gets to that point too. Don't think it will, but well, don't think it will for a while, at least for Zai, because he's looking very broke.
Be careful what you think.
Right. Last time that's what we said, right?
Mu. Oh, that's actually a pretty big spell. Stormbolt gets committed. Arteezy with the little leap back. Now back onto the tower, trying to focus it down. Z-Freak's there with the Starstorm.
2 towers, though, from
Doesn't want to overcommit, though.
Very quick, easy 2 towers. Like, they were struggling a lot to just get towers down versus Complexity lineup. Complexity was very keen on not really letting them do that, but yeah. EG with some nice, great wards and just instantly 5-manning those 2 towers, get it.
I mean, it's what they were trying to do top earlier when you pointed it out, that like you can't half commit to a tower versus tree. It's either all in or you don't bother.
Yep.
So, Mu will grab a DD now on the Weaver. And EG 5-manning for the most part around their jungle. Don't want to get spread out. They have their Vlads. They also have the Crystallis now.
I'm curious to see if he's going to finish up the Daedalus or if he goes for this like Bloodthorn build that we've seen some people do. Because he is versus an OD, so it obviously silences him through the so he can't Arc Ignore before he has a BKB on him. And it's also extremely good versus the Weaver. I want to see which one he prefers is better because, you know, sometimes it's like you want to get the burst potential from the double crits from your Echo Saber Daedalus, but at the same time, too, it gives you this like later progression state.
It's also a good way to potentially catch out the Weaver. If the linkage is down, maybe later on he diffusals on cooldown. Could be another useful tool for him.
Now they pick up a gem on Ogre. This is something that we heavily emphasized on the last game that they were lacking. This game, they seem to be very keen on wanting to take out the wards from Complexity, be able to see whenever the Moonlight Shadow goes on, and be able to fight properly.
Complexity,
in the river.
They get the high ground banished, but behind the Sven is Zai. Mu's hunting for him under Moonlight Shadow, trying to sneak around. The charge comes through. They're isolating Arteezy. The relocate up onto the high ground, but Mu's waiting for him. Has the Lincoln Sphere to be able to back away without getting stunned, chain locked, and burst. So now the relocate down. The IO is going to be going back just a little bit. Do Complexity converge? They have a charge ready. They're not too confident at moving in.
They know all of EG is there, so they're very reluctant to really just like run into a five-man squad. Because even though they have very good farm on 4 heroes, it's still hard to fight into Panda ulti on a high ground spot.
They have scouted out the Roshan now, so Cancel will begin pushing in the bottom lane as he moved into the pit. Mu shoving out mid, top lane already being pinged, and I think what we'll see here is just push all those lanes out and then hopefully try to take a Rosh, but EG, they're not going to give this up for free. They are all clustered around the pit.
Monkeys even goes for a Vlad's as well now too, so giving his teammates some lifesteal potential and some more armor rather than going for a BKB for himself. Very selfless builds coming out from him, except for the Echo Saber. It's kind of selfish. But
what do you think the Z-Freak build is here? He's already grabbed a plate mail.
Lotus Orb.
Lotus Orb.
Yeah. Definitely a really good pickup for him. Obviously able to reflect the stun, remove Drunken Haze off of his allies, and just it's a very good defensive ability.
Omni Slash is...
Yeah, reflect Omni Slash
is fun.
Yeah. He has an Aghanims too, so if he does reflect it, he gets the Aghanims bonus too, so he gets extra slashes. That'd be pretty funny to see, but
that would be dope.
Some cool little interactions.
Well, Complexity now thinking Roshan, but EG are in the neighborhood. See a Maelstrom on Sumail, so with the Bloodlust, tons of attack speed, lots of procs. This does ramp up his farm speed even further, and they look to move in. From the low ground, though, don't have the vision uphill. More than once we've seen them drop a ward right next to the shop and then just leap in. That was a big play. They made a lot in Game 2. Not going to happen just yet. But Moo in position. Now they're going to start this off. They do manage to break his Lincoln Sphere. Chain stun him, focus him down. Is he going to buy back and re-time lapse into the fight? He will do so. Time lapsing in from the rear, immediately coming to work with the bugs. Brains down Zai, the charge on the crit, focusing him down too. Brew never got off the split. Without his control, they might not have a chance in this fight though. Sumail and Arteezy combining nicely. Diffusal blade there. Now Sumail needs to run away. He gets purged. He's being focused. He purges off the purge. The counter purge indeed. If only Kevin were casting this game. Now Arteezy focused down. He will fall. That's 4. Great buyback there by Moo.
Yeah, that was excellent buyback there. They even knew that EG was there, but they didn't think that Moo would actually get like bursted in that like quick manner. And yeah, look at that. Look at 1 gold. Okay.
-2 to -1. Everybody loses.
I've actually never seen something like that.
That's crazy.
It's actually super bizarre, but yeah, that was a sick buyback for Moo. And they even, obviously, like the reason that they win that fight so handedly is because they isolate Universe as well and don't let him get that Panda split off. I didn't really see what happened. Maybe did he get arrowed?
The Brew?
Or did he just get Spirit? Okay, Spirit Breaker is pretty much on top of him in the area, so I think he probably just got like locked down from Spirit Breaker, charge and ultimate, and then just got bursted down by the Mirana and the OD.
Speaking of that Mirana, Lotus Orb now complete on Z-Freak. So harder and harder to...
So we're going to see what happened here. So he does get arrowed. Okay, and then he gets charged up and just gets completely isolated and bursted down by Cancel and the other 2. And beautiful ultimate on top from Cancel.
Arteezy gets completely kited. Really good overgrowth by Swindles. And unfortunately, when you start the fight on Weaver, that's probably one of the worst heroes to start a fight on if he has buyback and is willing to commit it, because he can just instantly rejoin the fight with the buyback time-lapse play.
Yep.
So they got the benefit of the Swarm. They committed a lot just to break the Lincoln Sphere and then kill him as Cancel will move in. This is going to prompt a Brew split. They better get something done with this crit. Tanking the bugs now. The charge through by Monkeys. Great way to deal with those Panda aspects. So far being largely negated in this fight. Cancel now moving forward. Moves in pretty deep. Now going to time-lapse back out. Arteezy's blown the God Strength. Has the BKB. The God Strength still quite a bit of time left on it. Omni Slash coming through. Not getting a heck of a lot as they overgrow through this. Leaping forward with Z-Freak, but the BKB now committed. Good patience by Arteezy. Wants to bring down Cancel, but again, the kiting of the Astral friggin' Imprisonment. He survives this. They get 3 more kills, and they're going high ground. There's no BKB on Sven. There's no Brewmaster split. There's no God Strength, and then they're -3 heroes. So basically, it's a 5v0 right now. This is going to be at least 1 lane, Giannis, maybe more.
Yeah, definitely at least 1. They could maybe even make the movement to the bottom lane to at least get a tower, but going for 2 Raxes might be a little bit greedy, but they could maybe do it. Does Sumail have buyback? He does not. Does Ogre? No. Wisp? No. No one actually has buyback. They might just have to force one of their heroes to just go in and die and then just buy back afterwards to make sure they don't lose 2 Raxes, because this 2 Raxes is pretty hard to come back from.
Well, everyone counted out complexity, I think, or at least the vast majority. Certainly you and I didn't have a whole lot of faith in them. Even after Game 2, you just look at EG's results and have to say they're favored. But complexity, battling back, great adjustments in the draft. The OD has been massive for them in both of these games. This game, they haven't won yet, but it is looking real bleak for EG.
Yeah, Cancel and Moo both like having great position in these fights, but Z-Freak's arrows have been on point this game, landing pretty much all of them on crucial targets in the situations when they need him to.
And they do have really good setup for him as well. So a lot of it is credit to the lineup they have to combine with around the Astral.
Absolutely.
Charge into an Astral, into an arrow. Pretty much any order you can use these spells as long as you time it properly.
Yeah, in the last engagement, like Sumail tried to get an Omni Slash up, but it ended up just like bouncing and hitting almost nobody.
That's the thing with the Spirit Breaker, is you have to worry about getting just auto attack down, even when you're spinning. And that pick has been big as well, with the charge just largely negating spin, kiting even the Brewmaster split, just bashing 3-4 of them on the way through, and then of course the Sven being controlled largely by that.
Monkeys here in a spot where you might just go down here. They have the Moonlight Shadow. Do they have detection for him? They do. They have a Dust on Zai.
One last swing of that hammer will get the kill. Just a bit too quick to die, or they could have turned, but Cancel's going to set up. They have buyback on Spear Breaker. Arrow coming through. Long duration stun on probably the least important hero at this stage. Sumail just sees this, and he comes rushing in. Swindle's there. Hanging back for now. They're going to commit a lot onto this OD. Buyback now from the Spear Breaker as Moo's being focused, but he's just going to time-lapse it off. Lives for now, and they get the Lotus Orb reflected stun, but Arteezy BKBs to dodge it. Then the Overgrowth comes through, gets to work with that big hammer. Moo doesn't have time-lapse, has to be careful. Being focused, chain stun, brought down by the crits. That's a dieback on the Spear Breaker. Now they can look for a 3rd kill. They've also killed off the Weaver, who doesn't have buyback. They've gotten 1 lane, but they've got to be careful not to give up 1 in turn. Z-Freak with the Lotus Orb used defensively, and now focusing on the OD. They bring him down. Or actually, no, he survives for the time being. That's the Aegis. Now they bring him down. But can they kill him a 2nd time? That's the question. Shiva's guard committed. Swindle's coming back into the fray, drops the hammer, unloads it. Not enough just yet, but the living armor, the Lotus Orb, the pushback, he's still surviving.
Still
Cancel.
alive?
It's
Oh
a
my
triple.
God.
It's an ultra kill. OD devours all. GG.
And they just called it GG. That was sick plays by Universe in that fight, too. He threw cancel up, like, I think 2 or 3 times with the Panda Spirits, but just too much on complexity. This buyback from Monkeys, even though he just flew in and died, this OD combo with the tree, overgrowths on top of Z-Freak's positioning in the fight. It's like, wow. Complexity?
It's happening. Team hug.
That was really big, honestly. Like, after their devastating loss in the first game to that Alchemist, them being able to bring it back, having such fortitude, that was definitely very impressive. EG, you can see it on their faces. They're like, what the hell just hit us?
No.
Cancel OD is what just hit you.
Yeah, they're giving that away 2 games in a row and not really having great solutions for it. Yeah, little chest bump.
Look at Melons.
Oh, he's going to crack some melons the way he's hustling out of the room there.
Yeah.
But a great showing by Complexity. They're going to be facing Faceless next, while EG dropped down to play, LGD next, and they'll drop down to face Faceless. So that's a tough one. But with that, to break it down further and to get you ready for those upcoming games, we've got our panel. Hey, Alex.
Hey, dude. Well, how's it going, lunch and dinner? Are we still happy with that? Do you like that?
I haven't eaten yet, but I'm sure it's great.
It is really good. I recommend the dessert. Still, what the hell? I mean, you guys don't seem sound as surprised as my panel does.
Yeah,
Why is your mind not blown, Fogged?
what? How's my mind not blown? I'm speechless.
There it is. There it is. That's what I wanted. There we go.
I mean, that was like the 5% chance I would have said that they win in that way, especially lose game 1, down 12K gold in game 2, like getting absolutely steamrolled by EG, and then come back to take the entire series. At that point, I would have said like, there's almost no way they win this, even if they win game 2, not game 3.
A fairy tale story. Well, it really is. I'm going to talk to these guys on the desk about it. Of course, it is still groups, and we're going to be enjoying talking about EG and Complexity because that is a series to remember. To help explain why, I have Malini, Pyrian Flax, and Purge. And I have to start with you, Kevin, just because of your face. As soon as that final team fight and the actual result, the GG's in chat, that's the most emotion I've actually seen from you since we met.
It's because I thought OD was going to die about 6 times in that last fight, and he just didn't, and somehow he killed. It was like one of those picture-perfect moments that you would write down. How would this team fight go if I wanted the best clip ever? And that's basically what happened. And the GG happened right after. They maybe could have played on, but they already lost 2 racks, so very unlikely that they're going to win after that.
Oh, I mean, can we put this into context, Malini? Can you just put this into perspective? People are unfamiliar. EG, titans of the scene, Complexity coming in as the biggest underdogs, would you say?
In this group and
Yes.
probably the tournament,
Damn.
I would say. And EG, I would say, just kind of automatically assumed that they would get through this match. I think it's not a terribly unreasonable assumption, especially considering how the past results have been. They just almost always beat Complexity, and this time is the one exception and when it matters the most. And as of now, EG actually cannot get first place in their group. Yeah, it's double elimination, but you cannot get first anymore.
It's taken away from them. And we've already been talking about this, Ted, the beauty of getting that first seed. In fact, it was broken down after using the word seed like 900 times. We explained just how important it is.
Yeah, Kev explained it very well.
It's taken away.
I mean, I think quite a few people just dismissed it doesn't matter, you still go through and everything. But yeah, you don't want to have to face some of those first place teams, especially if you're coming off the back of a loss to Complexity that was unexpected. I guess EG can regroup. They've been, they've been here before. They've gone lower bracket before and done well. So it's not like this is it or anything. But it is a huge result for Complexity and gives them a lot of confidence, especially because the last time I saw Swindles, he was so dejected. And now here he is, and the first game at the Boston Major, the first series, and they beat EG. So it's like, that has to be good for their confidence.
I think the only thing that would make him happier is actually knocking them out of the tournament.
That would really make his day.
I think that he would probably take that over.
For winning it?
If you could choose one or the other.
It's just any dough, man. It's, there's a lot of salt.
Maybe because PPD's not on there anymore. Maybe not.
Maybe.
Not quite so bad. Still, he's notorious for being incredibly competitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And EG's a team that they've very often been knocked out of tournaments by or had that matchup lost more than they've won. That's for sure. So.
And also, we considered EG double elimination kings. Of all the Val tournaments, they placed very well because of double elim, I would say. And single elim favors them much less so than other teams. And this was, giving them OD twice was probably not advisable. Also, I think one thing that I noticed in between Arteezy's Sven and AUI Sven, he actually builds like anti-tree items. I remember him building a Manta style instead of a little bit more damage that RTZ. I saw him just sitting in a BKB with a full duration root. That's probably one of the worst feelings as a Sven with God Strength on.
I really felt like their draft was lacking damage compared to how much survivability Cole's heroes had. It's maybe one of the issues with grabbing Brewmaster. It gives you great teamfight control, but I feel like Cole also had pretty good teamfight control between SB and Tree Ulti and OD Banish and arrows from Siegfried, which never miss, and just amazing play from Cole as a whole.
Yeah,
it was interesting when you say the survivability. That's why, like, so many times it looked like a fight was going really well for EG, but OD's still alive and he's still right-clicking people, and then all of a sudden he's got all this stolen in and he just drops the hammer and starts right-clicking people and cleans up. It happened like multiple times in the fight. It was a great performance, I think, from Cole. But I don't know, it didn't feel like EG threw it, but there was a couple of points in the game where I thought Complexity were on the back foot for sure.
Yeah, you know what I think was really impactful is I was just thinking, I saw Cole buy back so many of these fights. Someone dies at the start, they buy back. Look how many towers they have right now. I think they have their bot tier 1, which allows OD to buy back and get back into the fight almost instantly. So even if it doesn't necessarily mean that they get a gold advantage from the fight, the important thing is that EG has much better passive farm heroes between Juggernaut and Sven compared to OD.
This is the fight that he's just rooted the half the time.
That was amazing. Half that BKB duration just completely gone. And then again, he tries to fight. He's again disabled. Finally, he's back in, but everybody's dead at this point. So
what does this, I mean, I don't want to say what does this mean for EG, but more of a case of, does this represent that we could be having a big Complexity tournament, or we just shut up and just enjoy this moment and appreciate that this has happened again? We saw Warriors do the same to Wings at the start of the day yesterday, and now we have another surprise result at the start. One of the favorites falling to one of the most severe underdogs. It's literally happened again 2 days in a row.
I think this is way more surprising. Than Wings. I think Wings I didn't think were in particularly good shape, and post TI, if you win TI, you generally just don't perform well for the rest, like later on, just because it seems like most of the people have less motivation. So there's typically a drop off, but EG were in pretty good shape before this, and Complexity were in very poor shape, and a lot of people think that the NA region is the weakest, so the qualifier teams are generally the weakest teams as well, and they were the second place qualifier team, not the first. So they were widely considered the 16th of all the 16 teams.
Yeah, I would definitely agree there. Just Wings drops games sometimes. They got third in their group at TI, and then they made it look easy all the way through. EG, like we said, loses some games, goes in the lower bracket, does fine, but might not be the case here. Second seed, not nearly as good.
But looking forward, LGD is probably like, yay, we don't have to play EG. It's kind of like DC yesterday. Like, well, I guess we're playing WG.
Sure.
Instead of Wings.
Well, I mean, that's what we literally closed out our show yesterday when we were like, oh, let's look at tomorrow. And we were like, oh, well, hang on. This looks like LGG EG is going to be going on. We got super excited. We were explaining why that's going to be good. Forget it, because it's completely thrown out the window. Thanks to Complexity, who have gone and taken Evil Genius in a full 3-game series. We can have a quick look at the scoreboard as well to understand exactly where things did go right, if not wrong. And as you do, take a deep breath and understand that one. The OD at the end, those last couple of kills, the ones that got Purge a little excited, you can see you got plenty of them alongside that.
Oh, one thing that's also pretty important too is Zai was playing the Wisp this game instead of Crit. And Crit is generally the Wisp player on most of the teams, and he had a staggering 12 deaths. That's a lot for Zai. Zai normally is the position 4, gets a lot of farm, doesn't die that much. Look at his items. It's bare bones. Like, you could see those items like 4 or 5 minutes in.
Yeah.
So that's it. I don't know when they swapped their Wisp player, if it was a one-time thing, whatever it may be. I know Zai can play Wisp, but it's just that Crit is usually it.
I just really like the draft of Cole. That's what I'm looking at. I mean, there was 2 cores doing damage on EG. It was Juggernaut as well as Sven, and they countered that so heavily just with Tree Ulti. If you just Tree Ulti him every single fight, you got 4 seconds of he can't move and he can't attack if nobody's near him, and they're never going to be near him. And they had great dive heroes. Mirana can jump for the backline. SB can jump for the backline. Weaver can jump for the backline and kill Io. That's why Io died so much. They couldn't kill people fast enough, and they couldn't defend the Io from all of that aggression. Like the lineup that Cole picked here just was fantastic. On top of the whole buyback, continue to fight, don't let them farm thing. They just never got ahead.
Awesome stuff. So Complexity picking that win up. In terms of going from potentially 4th seed, that was their expectations. Was that a game enough to start, having a little bit of faith, or are we just going to kind of wrap this one, put a bow on it? I mean, you're appreciating their draft. You're appreciating the way they fight. In fact, there was one team fight in particular that you wanted to draw attention to about 30 minutes in. We can bring it up. Something for you to sing their praises about?
It was the Roche fight. I believe they had just picked up Aegis on the OD, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, looks like they actually left it there. But They start off with the Moo kill. The crucial thing about this fight, Omni Slash was committed, Sven ulti was committed at the start, but he bought back, time-lapse back into the fight, which allowed him to go on the back line. The fight looked really rough at the start, but with Swindles in this great position here, puts Tree Armor on cancel, basically stops Jug or Sven for doing damage for 5 seconds. And on the meantime, I was just getting killed on the back line by the Weaver, and RTZ finally going back in again, but the OD responding and being able to banish him to stop the damage. So at most they get a Spear Breaker kill, and that's not nearly good enough. And how many cycles of Aghanim's Mirana Starstorm did we see? It was like at least 3 sets probably, and everybody stays alive but one. Just complete hero outplay due to the tools they had.
And one of those tools, oh, hang on, that somehow was going to be an insult in my segue. Hang on a second, I was about to call Slacks a tool. I'm
oh,
not
no, please carry on with that one.
One of those tools is standing by with cancel. It's Slacks. How you doing, bro?
Why? Why would you do this?
I don't know.
We just met 2 days ago. I've tried. No one respects me.
You've tried to kiss me. You've thrown my suitcase around the lobby. This has been an intense 2 days.
I'll be your tool anytime, machine.
Oh, baby.
Right.
Go do your interview.
Hi. Cancel. I didn't write any questions for Complexity. Just tell me about winning against EG. Sweet Lord.
That was something normal for us, I think. I mean, it was pretty exciting to play against EG, probably the best team against from the world right now with Virtus Pro and whatever. And we're excited, but it doesn't mean too much to us for us right now because it's just group stage. And we're going to have to focus on single elimination. Yeah. And that's pretty much it.
Sure. I mean, that's very humble, though. I mean, EG has been a longtime rival of your team. This is actually the first iteration of Complexity that beat them.
I am excited to beat them on the LAN because that's what it matters. To beat them on the LAN and not on screams online. And
no, that's the attitude you guys need. Look at that. Calm, the confidence. It's beautiful. All right, answer me this one question, though. What is more delicious? Killing EG here at a major or eating a delicious Romanian shawarma? Which are you looking more forward to?
I'm looking to eat Dristor kebab shawarma from Bucharest. This is probably the most tasty thing you could ever eat.
Well, you'll have to take me sometime. So anyway, as we were saying, you're kind of new to the team. It seems like things are going very well for you. I just wanted to give you a moment to just talk to some of your fans for a bit. Not a lot of people have seen you here on the big stage, especially the Romanian scene. You're kind of representing them. Anything to say out there for Team Complexity and people that might be new to you?
Well, I don't have too much to say. I would like to thank everyone who's supporting me since I started from the bottom. Now I'm here. Shout out for my team Complexity, for my boy Weeha, and for all my fans. Kappa Pride.
Oh, look at that.
Love you all.
Oh.
I love you all.
Okay, man. Well, let's make this short and sweet. So, Team EG, kind of feel like that might have been your boogeyman, right? You knew it was going to be hard. Who are you now more afraid of than EG? You've already conquered one monster. So, who's next on your list to prepare for?
We're not afraid of anyone, but we can win against everyone, and we can lose to anyone. So that's pretty much it. That's how it's working for us, at least at the moment.
Very good. So very confident answers from you. Very excited to see how far you got, and just congratulations, man. That's freaking awesome. All right. Well, back to you guys over there on the panel machine. I can't believe it, but Complexity did it, baby.
Yes, they did. Quite a beautiful start to the Boston Major Day 2. Complexity besting their North American rivals. They meet all the time as well. If I just had a quick look, it's literally like every qualifier, every America's qualifier, Complexity, take one game. Take two, well, that's not true, actually.
2 out of 5, maybe.
Yeah, maybe 2 out of 5 if we wanted to do that. But yeah, take one and never quite managed to push it over the line. But they do so, and in a $3 million tournament to stop EG from taking first seed. That's locked in now. It's kind of crazy. And if we do have a quick look at the MVP, we'll see who was one of the most valuable players in getting them over the line. It was Z-Freak.
Z-Freak. Yeah, a lot of arrows. I think Kev said just didn't seem to miss any. Having the OD set up is helpful, but he was just, he did very well in the Mirana.
20-minute eggs.
20-minute eggs. I mean, there was that moment when he was 2 gold away from being able to afford it, and it looked like that would be bad. He died, bought back, I think, came back in, but he quickly finished it off. I think they played brilliantly with those sort of rolling team fights that are you going down a lane, you keep going, chasing. And like Kev said, being able to buy it back at a tower and get in there, I thought it was a brave performance, really. Committed.
Did you guys see the second to last fight as well? He bought a Lotus Orb on his hero. He was about to die. I think he Lotused himself to reflect an Omni Slash, which kept him alive and continued the fight and gave him an Omni Slash, obviously. That's pretty good value. Normally people go for like E-Blade afterwards, but he had the presence of mind to alter his build. It was really incredible. I didn't see him make any mistakes that game, except for like a bad leap here or there. Played amazing.
One question then, not from me, but this time from social media. We can have a little look. They have been great so far. I'm actually really enjoying this. We get to have the community be part of the desk, and it looks like it's going to be coming from Eddie. He says, was the third game an outdraft or just straight up outplay? A fantastic question.
I think it was more outdraft than outplay. I felt like EG played extremely well, but they were held back. And in every single fight, the gold was always so even at the end of it. So it was more, I feel like it was more, their draft allowed them to eke out a small edge to a small edge. And a couple crucial moments too, like killing Brewmaster before he splits 1 or 2 fights in the early game changes everything. So.
And you were just talking about the Lotus, and there were some outplays as well. I mean, Ben, it's not like we can take that away from complexity.
I think I think it's more outplay.
You do?
Because EG, I think the T1 tower where they lost like 9 heroes in a row, that was like, They lost the Brewmaster, as you mentioned, very, very early on. And EG thought they could take the fight because they're like, okay, Brewmaster's going to get its ult off, we're going to own. And that didn't happen for them. And I think like a lot of the small things too, it was just much harder to execute. Like they could dispel the roots, they could defusal the roots too, but like they still got the Sven kited. So there were a lot of small things that I think EG could have done better, but they had a harder lineup to execute. So I don't really know if I call that an outdraft.
That's a great point. If the Brewmaster would get his ulti off, he could dispel the roots on every hero on their team.
Yeah. Damn.
And then the tree ulti does nothing. But the ulti from Brewmaster wouldn't get off in time, so maybe it's just blame Universe, I guess. Out of position. I mean, if you do get chain stun, I mean, a lot of those were just random arrows, so that's a lot of more of a plus.
You can also say like, oh, if Wisp were more farmed, he could save the Brewmaster so he can get his ulti off. So there's like, you can blame whoever you want, but I think it was outplay, and I don't want to take anything away from complexity.
I like that. I don't know. The reason I'm smiling is because Ted is sitting there. It's like he's watching tennis. As you two talk, he's like this.
I'm not going to chip in and say, actually, Kevin.
I love that. Just sitting in the middle. Just closing thoughts from you then, Ted. We are about to be taking our break. LGD Cole after the break.
Yeah, I think, obviously, if you can beat EG and that's like the team you're super hyped to beat and you're pumped to beat and you've done your homework and research, I think now you've got to beat LGD. You've got to. Because otherwise it takes all the wind out of yourself. So I really think it would be great if Complexity could beat EG and LGD. That really demonstrates that they are serious.
That would be top seed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Complexity could take top seed of Group C? Whew. I mean, we might live in that world. We might. I know that you're not quite convinced yet, but still. We'll leave it at that. A big tennis Ted and a big result for Complexity. LGD versus Cole is coming up after our break as we delve into the second game of our second day here at the Boston Major. Do stay tuned and we'll be back with more fantastic Dota.